Hello again, SGBers. This is the first video that I've done in quite some time. Um, Now this is a follow-up to Amalgamash's video where he tested my menu for the Untitleds, the game I'm working on in Smile Game Builder. And since then, it has had a lot of updates. So I figured that I would finally get around to showcasing it for you guys, seeing what the new changes are in comparison. Now bear in mind that this is still not entirely complete. There are bugs and so on and so on, but for the purposes of this I have set the game dev notes switch to on so you can see, and then I'll explain things. Now as you can see, the first thing here is everything works. It's supposed to. You move the cursor around, and one of the changes that I've done is you can actually go up and down the various columns, so it goes back and left and right, and that would save you the bother of having to go right to the end, and then when you want to go back to profile, for instance, you don't have to do that now, which is neat. And this was where the bug was occurring that caused me to defer my originally planned video. Anyway, here we go. You have the profile. This has pretty much stayed the same, and then depending if you are male or female, these details will change. I added like a little symbol as well. The other thing I'd like to point out, which Amalgamash, I don't think he saw it or he didn't pick up on it, but it says here, if you're female, the ex-boyfriend will be Fred, and if you're female, you'll say the ex-girlfriend is Ria. And for those of you who have been following me, including you, Ash, you'll probably recognize that that's a slight nod to Enigma of the Wolf. Thought I'd point that out because it's probably so easy to miss. Anyway, the newest part of this one is you have like a page 1 and a page 2. The game dev note says this is an experiment for fleshing out the characters. I'm not sure how to fully implement this, though I have an idea in the back of my mind, which I kind of do. I'm thinking of borrowing a similar setup to the Enigma of the Wolf, since I probably won't continue development on the game. And if you remember, it's right at the beginning you would be able to define what kind of character you would be, including your traits, your skills, and so on. This is probably going to be the last thing that I'll develop on this one. Anyway, and then for the stats, it's just a simple one. I might flesh this out again and put these things in more of a categorized, just like it was before, but for now it's going to stay the same. And the next thing is the gallery. For the gallery, you can actually move between the pictures, and any pictures that you have unlocked, you can zoom in. I'm going to improve this with all kinds of like bells and whistles, like improved graphics, because this is really blurry, including some writing, where it was taken, etc. on the bottom here. For now, ignore these. Little tutorial navigation thing, because I haven't quite done that yet. Now for the jukebox, these are all of the songs that you have unlocked, and I'm not going to play these for too long because copyright and YouTube red flagging and all of that. But for the first one, you can play the music and then you can cancel it. It should say here when you to shift key will stop the song. But anyway, any unlocked ones that you have will go here, and you will be able to play it while you play the game, or even while you're in here. Now for the documents, this section is where all of the documents you find, including tutorials, notes, etc. will go. Some of the sections are not implemented yet. I have an idea what to put in these sections, but not quite how to do it yet, which is kind of true. And all of this is subject to change. I haven't sort of bothered changing these tutorials. which I started, you have the various keys for movement that you can do, and then you also have the system, and when you unlock more, this will come. Now the relationships thing is something that I'm kind of experimenting with, but the idea is when you interact with certain people, your relationships with them can change. Each person has his or her own likes and dislikes, so the more you interact with them, the more you'll get to know them and build your relationship with them, positively and negatively. This won't necessarily apply to everyone, but if these characters witness what they deem as questionable behavior, they may dislike that. Conversely, if they like what you say and do, their regard for you will increase. It's kind of based on an idea from the Fallout 4, but not quite because of the way that it works. This can be turned on or off in the settings menu, and a little footnote here: relationships is an experimental feature in the Untitleds. It may or may not remain a feature in future updates. It all depends on how well it's integrated properly into the system and how well I can ultimately do it. So the documents is the only other one that's done. Currently this is empty. When you collect documents like certain things relating to, say, the MC's work, perhaps these will go in there, and then the posters. There are going to be a number of posters that you'll find. If you read them, they'll be unlocked here. And then the codex is information on characters, places, etc. This is going to be one of the last things I do as well. And then the notes is just basically some little notes that people leave behind, and if you can collect them all, then this is where they will appear. So the next one is contacts. I'm not sure how to implement this section yet, especially if the experimental relationship option remains. The idea is that any new people you meet will be added, and you can make calls to them, and then they may call you on occasion. It's currently not implemented. And in email, you'll be able to send and receive emails. I'm thinking of ways to make this work efficiently, including read and unread messages, as well as numbers on the menu to indicate unread emails. I'm not sure how to do this or if it's entirely viable. I think it was this section that Amalgamash said that he would have a few ideas. Yeah, I'd be open to those ideas, and then see what we can come up with. So with the browser, this is where all of my social media works. And incidentally, I think when Ash showcased his video, it went straight to the SGB Athenaeum without going through this first, or at least it appeared to on his video. This is because there was in SGB it has a problem clearing the cache. So it's kind of when you press a key, it doesn't automatically remove that key, press, and goes on. This is what's been the problem with the menu. Anyway, this is the SGB Athenaeum, and I don't know why the hell it's doing that shit. I'll have to have a look at that. Anyway, it does open up in a new window, and it's the same way with Twitter. It's a Twitter account. Now you can either press close or you can press X to go back. It doesn't matter. But one of the things is if you do click on the X, you will close the game window, but thankfully it will give you the warning. Do you want to be sure you want to close it? So the next one is the save game. Very simple. And then it'll do it. You can either quit or you can click X and it'll do. I'm reworking the maps system to make it easier to implement for the different locations. Plus I'm going to experiment with a map teleportation system, which may or may not make it into the full game. This is when you go out and explore the map, you can have like a Fallout 4 or a Skyrim style fast travel menu to move to the places around the city. But if you recall from the previous videos that I had done and Ash had done, there was actually a map of the location with a little indicator of where you are. I'm just totally redoing that. So for the achievements, this is where, whenever you unlock an achievement, this is where they'll go. There are 15 to unlock. In the same way with the trophies, you unlock the trophies along the way. Some of them are Easter eggs, some of them are very well hidden, and some of them are out in the open. Now for the change background, I think this should work. You can unlock backgrounds throughout, and when you change it, this will affect the entire thing. So even if you exit, you will still have that option of the background. I'm going to change this because that one isn't going to be in the game. It's just a little sample. So with the calendar, it's a very simple one. Initially, for the Returners Game Jam, the Untitles was going to be just for 7 days, but this is going to be fleshed out so that it's like a little bit more expanded, because it's going to expand to beyond just 1 week. And then the next thing is the clock. This section is somewhat bare because the time system is basic. This was intentional as the time, as the original game submitted to the Returners Game Jam, as I've already mentioned, was only meant to span over the course of a week. This could be expanded later with a proper time system, which will then link to the calendar. And you can see where it's kind of everything is just going together. Now this playtime will update, and then when you move on to the day, the time of morning, there are 3, maybe 4 times: morning, afternoon, evening, and night. The next one is the games. All of the games are under construction. I might change, or at least later. And no, none of them work. I have tried to do this efficiently, but there's still a few bugs, especially in 21 and boxcars, that I need to address. The next one is the inventory, which isn't really needed at this point, though it may be in later versions as necessary. This ultimately depends on how game development evolves in certain parts of the game, and if it's necessary to have the inventory, then I will put it in. If not, I will just exchange it for something else. And this is another one that was added. You have the bank. Your bank details will change depending on your name and your gender, and also this here will eventually dynamically change depending on your expenditures. So for instance, if on March the 19th you decided to go to the ATM in the city and withdraw 500, you would be in debt. If you were to withdraw 50, then it would reflect here, withdrawal, and then this balance would be 150. That is still a work in progress, but it is still working. And then the final one is the settings. It's rather basic at the moment. Over time, I'll add more aesthetics and expand this menu, maybe to include some sound settings as well, which I started doing. There was a visual bug with a cursor, but it's resolved now. Amalgamash noticed it, and so it was quite funny to watch, actually. But yeah, it doesn't do it anymore. So you can toggle the mature content on or off. You can turn the relationships on or off in case you just want to kind of have a vanilla playthrough or have like a much more robust system. You can enable or disable the dev notes. And then the next thing, you can choose between the full busts, which I haven't actually done yet. This will cover the screen. Or you can have these circular ones, which was the default, the same one that you saw for the game dev thing, just a little circle with the thing. Person speaking. Now with the first person view, this isn't sort of, this will probably be deleted because it's going to be where you can toggle the first person or the overview views, depending on your preference, because some people prefer to use both. Now the background volume, you can change the background volume and the sound effects. This doesn't quite work properly. It does work, but it doesn't, if you know what I mean. And anyway, that is it for the updated menu, the tablet menu for the Untitleds. If you like this video and you haven't already, then subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications of any new videos that I post, and there will be quite a few. I will also be doing some live streaming, and I will also be doing a lot of other things coming up now. Everything's coming together, so slowly but surely I'm getting back into it. Don't forget to subscribe to me on the social media and check out all of the RPG Maker Times sites, the Discord channel, which is becoming, or has become, official now. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Till the next time.